Are you still unsure whether to buy an HTTPS proxy or a SOCKS5 proxy? In this video, IPFighter will help you clearly distinguish between HTTPS and SOCKS5, so you'll know when to use each type of proxy and how to choose the one that best fits your needs. Basically, these are two of the most common proxy protocols used to hide your real IP address when accessing the internet. Before diving into a detailed comparison, let's quickly go over what HTTPS and SOCKS5 are and how they work. First, HTTPS. To understand it clearly, we'll start with the foundation, HTTP. HTTP is the basic protocol used to transfer data between a browser and a web server. Data is sent in plain text, without any encryption, which makes it very easy to intercept and steal. HTTPS, on the other hand, is an upgraded version of HTTP that adds an SSL/TLS security layer to encrypt information. When you use an HTTPS proxy, all your requests are first routed through the proxy. After that, your browser and the website establish a secure TLS connection directly with each other. Once the secure connection is in place, the proxy forwards your requests to the website on your behalf. Thanks to this encryption step, your login information, cookies, and personal data are much better protected. Today, HTTPS has become a required standard for most websites. It is also favored by Google in SEO rankings, and browsers display warnings for sites that do not use HTTPS. Now, let's talk about SOCKS5. SOCKS5 is a proxy protocol that transfers data between you and a server through an intermediary server. It is the latest version of the SOCKS protocol, supporting multiple types of connections and working with both IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. Because of this flexibility, SOCKS5 can be used for many purposes, such as web browsing, gaming, or running various applications. When using a SOCKS5 proxy, data from your device is sent to the proxy server first. The proxy then connects to the destination server on your behalf and relays data back and forth between the two sides. Now that you understand how both work, let's compare the differences between HTTPS and SOCKS5 proxies. The first difference is functionality. HTTPS was designed to handle web-based activities, including information like which site you're visiting, what browser you're using, and what requests you're sending to a website. An HTTPS proxy can read and understand this information, so it can control or process the data, for example, filtering content or caching it to speed up loading times. SOCKS5, on the other hand, doesn't care what you're sending and doesn't analyze the content. It simply takes your data, forwards it to the destination server, and returns the response. When it comes to speed, the difference mainly lies in how each proxy handles data. HTTPS has to do more work. When you send a request, it needs to read the information, inspect the data, and perform encryption and decryption during transmission. This makes it slightly slower. SOCKS5, by contrast, does very little processing, so it's usually faster and delivers more consistent performance than HTTPS. In terms of security, HTTPS proxies support HTTPS connections. This helps protect data during transmission and reduces the risk of eavesdropping or tracking over the network. Additionally, because HTTPS proxies can process data, they can also detect and block certain unsafe content. SOCKS5, on the other hand, does not include built-in encryption, so your data won't be protected in transit unless you pair it with additional security protocols like HTTPS. Finally, usability. Since it's designed for web traffic, HTTPS proxies work very well with browsers and applications that use HTTP and HTTPS. They're also easy to set up and usually don't require complex configuration. SOCKS5 proxies can be used with a wider range of applications, not just web browsing, but also games and desktop software. However, not all applications support SOCKS5, so you may sometimes need extra configuration or third-party tools to make it work. So when should you use an HTTPS proxy, and when should you use a SOCKS5 proxy? The choice between HTTPS and SOCKS5 depends on your specific use case. If you often work directly on web browsers such as managing Facebook or TikTok accounts, running ads, or doing web scraping, then an HTTPS proxy is the more common choice because it's easy to configure and well-suited for web environments. On the other hand, if you need a proxy for other applications like downloading files, gaming, running automation tools, or using specialized software, then a SOCKS5 proxy is more flexible and often a better fit. It's also important to note that a proxy's effectiveness doesn't just depend on whether you choose HTTPS or SOCKS5, it also heavily depends on the provider. Free proxies are often slow, unstable, and may come with significant security risks. So, Can you take advantage of both protocols at the same time? The answer is yes, and in fact, you're probably already doing it every day. For example, imagine you're using a SOCKS5 proxy and then access a website that uses HTTPS. In that case, your data travels like this, from your device through the SOCKS5 proxy to the website. What's interesting is that even though your data passes through the proxy, the actual content is still encrypted by HTTPS. This means you can both hide your IP address and protect your data during transmission. However, keep in mind that if you access a website that doesn't use HTTPS, your data will not be encrypted even if you're using a proxy. In summary, there's no single proxy that's best for every situation. You need to understand that each type is suited for different purposes. HTTPS is better suited for website-related tasks and situations that require data security, while SOCKS5 proxies are a better fit when you need to use a proxy with applications beyond web browsers, such as mobile apps, mobile games, file downloads, or desktop software. Most importantly, you should prioritize choosing a reputable provider with stable connections and good support to avoid risks in the long run. Once you clearly understand your own needs, choosing the right proxy becomes much easier. If you still have any questions about different types of proxies, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget to visit the IPFighter website to grab discount vouchers from providers on the market. See you in the next videos.